and a car just went getting smashed over and it's going to cause an accident. So obviously the guy who's looking for it is not there. And I would seriously think you should get here now.
Can you lane the dip, please get here
Okay,
quick.
which area is that?
In Moston, down the dip. Down the please. I just pissed off in the car.
Are any chemicals or hazards involved, like petrol? Listen. Hello?
Today is Tuesday the 14th of September 2004 and the time is 18:06. Have you ever done a video interview before? No. All I want you to do for me today is tell me the truth and tell me what happened. Not what you've been told, not what anybody else has told you, whatever. Just what you know and what you saw. Tell me what happened in as much detail as you can.
From what?
Right from the beginning.
He ended up getting to the Lightbound pub at around 11:30 it was. Myself, Stephen, Craig. There was loads of people, many people who I didn't know, and then like at the back of the car I just see my mates, so like you just walk over and stood with my mates. And it was kicking off and like there was two men arguing. And then they ended up fighting. Noticed the phone like had fell out of one of the men's pocket who was fighting. And after they stopped fighting, the man was like saying who's got my phone. From there we just walked off. Me, Stephen, Craig, and he stood on the corner of the road. And then we was just talking there. And that's when I noticed the car was coming down. I'd already been hit before I could say anything. It hit Stephen and hit Craig as well.
Another Saturday night in Manchester. Two teenagers have been gravely injured in a hit and run. In the early hours, Detective Superintendent Steve Hayward arrives at the scene.
Morning. Paul.
How's it going?
Superintendent Hayward, how are you, mate?
Oh, sir.
You know exactly what happened?
I'll come and point it out, sir, as much as I can. Not far from where this bend in the pavement is where the first lad has been treated. About maybe 10-15 metres further down, a little bit into the road where the second lad's been treated.
Okay.
And a few items of clothing near the further down point.
Right.
Halfway down the road, I think that's where one of the shoes were found.
The investigating officer, the accident investigation, was making reference to a tyre mark going up the curve. And from his plan, it was described on this curve here.
If that time out does turn out to be the border, there's absolutely no reason that you need to go on the pavement, is there?
Unless they were taking avoiding action from something or somebody.
Don't give them a defence.
To consider the theories, haven't you?
Detectives on the night shift gather for the first briefing.
Right, victims.
Craig Rennie, 25/8/88. Craig died at 3:25 a.m.
What's the other one?
Stephen Prince, 21/3/88. Now he's critically ill at the moment, but still fighting for survival.
He's not to Hope.
And he's now been transferred to Hope Hospital. The second scene is on Woodstock Road, and that's the location of the predominantly burnt out vehicle.
Were any independent witnesses to the actual accident?
The problem we've got is that everybody, or most people that we've spoken to so far, are
16 years of age. Yeah, and that makes it difficult with the video interviews that have to take place. So we have asked that that a really brief account is obtained, and apparently we're waiting for those to come back in.
Can you assist us by visiting this landlord who's witnessed what we believe is a silver borer car whizzing round his car park with a broken windshield? And the occupant of this car is a young lad who's got a head injury.
Craig Rennie is dead. Stephen Prince is in intensive care. Both 16 years old. They'd been friends all their lives.
Come on, Clay, Henry! Come on, Clay! Don't wait, Stephen!
Craig was really close to Stephen. Really, really close. They used to play football together from being I'd say about 6. And they went to the same school, and they used to go to each other's house for tea and sleep over, and was one of his best friends. He'd been taken to the hospital, and we got there and we'd just seen his shoes and clothes on with the police and that, and I thought it's more serious than what I was told on the phone. And it was. I went in to see him though. He had a cut to his face and that, but he didn't seem as though anything was wrong with him. And he took him to theatre. I knew as soon as I went in that room, they were going to tell me he'd died.
It was just chaos. There was loads of people standing around. And I just saw Stephen, and at first he looked normal. I didn't look at his body, I just looked at his face. He just looked normal. And then before my eyes, his head just swelled. And I just said to the ambulance woman that was there, "How bad is it?" And she just looked at me and she said, "It's really bad." I just sat there thinking of everything and nothing. And every thought I had was about Stephen. I saw his first step. I saw me bring him home from hospital. I saw his first girlfriend. I just sat there, living his life, living his past, living his future, living his death, living everything. Because I thought that by thinking about Stephen, he would know that I was thinking about him.
The police have discovered the VW Bora is a hire car, taken out by one John Connolly.
Just run us through, what was his initial account?
Yeah, of course. John has a black Clio. He said that the vehicle engine management on his black Clio that's on the drive is gone, so therefore he went out to hire a vehicle for a week. He paid £190 for it. He's saying that at 8:30 yesterday he went to his friends called Michael Burns.
Michael Gary Burns, 1st of May 65. Known John Connolly for about 3 years. Said John called last night out of the blue, arriving about 8:15. Said he stayed approximately an hour.
John went in his silver borer. He had a drink at Mix till about 10 p.m. He drank alcohol, not much, but too much to drive.
Michael is adamant that they never drank any alcohol. No tins, no spirits. He allowed us to search the place. There was nothing. There was no indication of any alcohol.
John secured his car, but it had no damage to it. He said there was one set of keys for it, and we asked for those, so he went to go and get them. And then appeared shocked that he couldn't find his jacket. And that basically was his account.
I'm really quite surprised he's got like 190 quid just to splash out for a week on a hire car. And I know what sort of all I'm going to get on my wife. I was paying 190 quid, but you know, why has he got a hire car in the first place?
Yeah, of that calibre anyway. When you thought he would hire one of a similar mark than the one he's got for half the price.
Yeah, I think he's definitely got the knowledge of what's happened with that. And does he know somebody's died?
He knows it's something serious because the CID are knocking him up in the early hours of the morning.
Tell him somebody's died. Yeah. I'm tempted just to look it up and we'll thrash it out later. Okay?
Yeah, no problem.
Marvellous, thank you very much. This will upset his weekend. Morning, Kevin, Steve Hayward. I'm alright, how are you? No, let me rephrase that. How were you? It's the 21st party where there's been a bit of an argument, and then what appears to be an offender in a brand new Bora has driven onto a pavement and crushed a couple of them up in Moston. What should we say? What time is it now? 8:30? Should we say 10 o'clock? Would that be alright?
Detective Superintendent Kevin Duffy from the Force Major Incident Team now takes over the case.
So, long story, but just to cut short, we did a couple of addresses and we eventually found this lad.
Okay.
He was called John William Connolly.
And he's the hirer?
He's the hirer. He doesn't fit the description of the driver, but we strongly believe he knows who the offender is. He's given us an account. We've tried to support that account and it's not been supported. He's been arrested, taken into the custody office, and unprompted he said he's been doing it on behalf of somebody else. He's hired the car for somebody else. It would appear he's done that under some sort of coercion, or he's done it for monetary reasons, we don't know yet. He's been asked to stop there, not make any further comments, so we're anticipating on the interview he might well come ahead and disclose. The thing about Mr. Connolly is that he has some old previous convictions, but when you look at his associates lists, it's quite extensive, and it's quite extensive in relation to the gang members in North Manchester. So we could well have a connection there as to the reasons behind what's gone on. The Force Major Incident Team will take this on now, lock, stock and barrel, cradle to grave as they call it. It's actually quite difficult to hand over every piece of information in your head, which is why you've got to get it down on the policy book and you've got to get all that information in a plausible form, because unfortunately it'd be Kevin who was stood in the box in 12 months' time trying to account for my decision making. Back to my day job, paedophiles, child abuse, exciting things like that.
We've asked him to provide a statement, so we'll just see what he has to say. I don't think we'll get much out of him, but you never know. Because of the seriousness, he might come round a bit.
Can you give me your full name and date of birth, please?
John William Connolly, 4868.
Tell us how you came to hire that car.
Wednesday gets a phone call. He comes up, Mike Ganson. He said to me, right, if you get me a car, I'll treat you, which I've got in my car before, I've never been treated. He got me a pair of trainers once. To be honest, I'm shit scared of the guy.
Of September 2004, in Manchester, the County of Greater Manchester, he did acts intending and intending to avert the course of justice, in that he gave false details to police officers when questioned over the hiring of the Volkswagen Bora, which was involved in a serious incident on Kenyon Lane, Moston. Do you understand the charge?
Yeah.
Do you wish to make any reply to the charge?
John Connolly received a 20-week sentence for the lies he told the police. Kevin Duffy switches the team's focus to the new suspect, Michael Ganson.
I think probably the best way to start will be for me to bring everyone up to speed. Just before midnight, there was a group of youths on Kenyon Lane. That included Craig Rennie, who later died, and his friend Stephen Prince, together with probably about 10 others, were stood on the corner of Kenyon Lane when a car, which we later discovered to be a Volkswagen Bora, ran into the group, hit two of the youths, hit Craig and Stephen. Following the collision on Kenyon Lane, It turned up on the car park of the Lightbound Public House on Lightbound Road. That's captured on CCTV. It's got extensive damage to the roof. The windscreen was missing or damaged. Initial inquiries were on the hire vehicle, who'd hired it, and a lad called John Connolly was discovered to be the hirer, and he was arrested. He came up with the story that he hires vehicles on behalf of someone called Michael Ganson, who we're currently looking for. Eric, been dealing with the family. Can you just bring us up to speed with how they are?
Stephen Prince is still classed as critical but stable at the moment. They did an operation on the Sunday. He'd had an operation on his brain to remove a blood clot in the morning, about 3 or 4 hours. And then he had a further operation to repair all his broken legs, his wrist and his shoulder, but they were having, his brain started to swell up, so they had to sort of curtail that. So he'd probably have further. I've spoke to keeping in touch with Alan Prince, his dad.
The first few days was a nightmare. A lot of time I was there, yeah, a lot of time. Most of the time. Shelley was never away from the place. I had to come home because somebody had to do it. Pick the mail up, you know, you still have to live, don't you? So. I didn't actually see him. I wanted to look at him, but I didn't, if you know what I mean. Because I didn't want to see how bad he was. He's still here, that's the main thing. Unlike poor Craig, you know.
He didn't wake up at all, and they were saying it could take 24 hours. Well, 24 hours came and went with no sedation, and he didn't wake up. And then 48 hours went, and he still didn't wake up. And then 72 hours, and he still didn't wake up. And I remembered how he was, and the life. I remember thinking, if that's all he is, I don't want him to live. Because he wouldn't want that.
Please, can you come to the door?
Detectives search Michael Ganson's last known address.
The lad we've come looking for isn't actually here, but we're going to be executing the search warrant anyway and see if there's any evidence in the house.
Ganson's not at home, but then an eyewitness comes forward with significant information.
Witness, very straight talking, straightforward girl, fully believe everything she's saying. She said the car struck him, hitting into the back of the lad. He was hurled into the air, fallen onto the bonnet of the car. He then rolled up the bonnet and crashed into the windscreen. But then she saw the car being reversed for about 1 car length. She then describes that the driver revved the engine as racing drivers do on the starting grid. And then she said the car took off and driven directly at the lad walking down the hill. Obviously then a commotion started, there's been a lot of screaming, and she's seen a male youth lying on the floor. She says the car never lost control. She said it was a deliberate, calculated, cold-blooded, murderous act. And I can only assume it was pre-planned. She said the driver never made any attempt to stop or remain at the scene.
I'll just stop you there because I think some information just coming in, but that's excellent that, but we've got the gist of it there. And that, if anyone's in any doubt it's a murder, that's it. just en route to Craig's funeral. It's normal practice that a member of the management team goes along to the funeral just to show the respects of, on behalf of the police and the investigation team, to offer any support to the family.
Craig, you sing first.
I love you all the windies. You sing like a car windows. They never let go of joining any rain begins.
If there was a party, Craig would be there. Everybody would be around him. Nobody wouldn't be on his own. Definitely not. There'd be loads and loads of people around him. He was like an attraction, really. That was our Craig. I do really try and be strong for all of them, but there's only so much you can do.
Mike doesn't mention him a lot because I think it's too upsetting for him. He is very, very angry. I am sometimes. You know, sometimes I'm doing the pots in there, I just want to smash the pots and smash everything up because I think, you know, it's time for him to come back. So it's a big dream. It's all right now, Craig, come on, you can come back. I've had enough now, you've been gone.
A solicitor representing Michael Ganson has called the police.
I'm looking for Michael Ganson at the moment, and I would like to speak to him. Are you in contact with him? And right, it is being run as a murder. Yes. Do you want to arrange a time now, or do? Right, that's fine. Thank you very much. Bye-bye. The solicitor is speaking to Ganson via a third party who we can't contact for another hour. We don't know where he is. He says that it'll probably be 9 o'clock in the morning that he'll present himself at Longside, but he'll confirm that with me later on.
Michael John Ganson. Just to confirm, obviously, that you don't have to say anything with me. I'm your defence if you do not mention when questioned something which you later align in court. Anything that you do say will be in evidence. Do you understand that?
Yeah. My girlfriend picked me up from the museum pub on Maston Lane. That's Michelle. And we've gone for a little drive and that, and then we've gone from there to the next pub in Mars Platin. Stayed there, had a drink or two, and then Michelle wanted to go home. So on the way home I've asked her to drop me off at the Lightbound pub. But it was like a threat, there was a party going on there. It was like people there who had been having trouble with through the week. There was a few of them, like who was with and that, you know what I mean, there's a few kids. He's come over, thrown his weight about and that, and they've ended up having a fight. They've all been like crowding round, and obviously I was like kind of scared at the time because any of them could have done, you know, they could have done anything in it. I got off. fear for my safety in case something bad could have happened. I jumped in this Volkswagen Bora. I was parked at the side of the pub on the street. But as I've been getting off, I've been trying to phone like my friends, my brothers and that, to ask them to come and meet me here to try and sort this trouble out. I've been looking through my mirror. I've seen them coming off the car park. I mean, and when I've done a left at the lights, you can't see them, you know what I mean, unless they come that. But I've just been looking through the rear view mirror, and I was on my phone as well at the same, trying to phone my friend. It was just like a big light shot. I've not even seen no one in front of me until I've heard a bang. But I've carried on still, getting fear, not knowing what's going to happen and things. I was just scared. Just can't believe it's happened, innit?
He was interviewed and he admits being the driver. He spoke about feeling threatened, was afraid, jumping in his car, and the explanation for the collision he gives us, he was on his telephone, so he was distracted. He was looking in his rear view mirror, so he was distracted because he thought people were going to chase him. And he ran into this group accidentally. I don't believe him. I still think it was a deliberate act. What I'm trying to get my head around is to come up with a meaningful motive as to why it's happened. What's caused Ganson from being involved in a fight at the pub to get in his car and then target this group? He talks about being on the phone as he drives down Kenyon Lane, and that's one of the main reasons why he didn't see this group. Is it possible that one of this group of 16-year-olds has actually taken his phone and then he's come up with that story that he's on the phone but actually is not, and this is a result of him taking revenge on someone stealing his phone? The picture that's emerging to me is the fact that he's lost it. He's been involved in a fight that's probably gone on for 10 minutes. He's going around threatening people that they've stolen his phone, and he's just totally lost it. And then for whatever reason, he's jumped in the Bora and deliberately gone looking for this group, whether they've been taking the mickey out of him while he's been fighting, he's lost a bit of face, whether someone says that he's nicked the phone, and he's gone after them. He's deliberately gone after them. There's just no regard for anything. Okay.
You're charged with the following offences. You don't have to say anything, but it may harm your defence if you do not mention now something which you later rely in court. Anything you do say may be given in evidence. Do you understand that before I read the charges? Okay. The first charge is that at the 11th of September 2004, you murdered Craig Rennie. The second charge again is that on the 11th of September 2004, attempted to murder Stephen Prince.
This was never meant to be this. Never.
Stephen Prince makes a slow and painful recovery. His injuries are psychological as much as physical.
Oh, alright, mate. I'm dying. You're a good. I pick him up every day to let him come home, have his tea, and then we take him back at 9 o'clock, 9:30, back to the hospital. I should imagine he'll be another couple of months before he's home for good. We're not sure. We have to just wait and see. It's up to the doctors, isn't it? You're managing to get about a bit now, aren't you?
Mm.
A little bit.
I don't sit down now at all. I just stand up and walk about all day. And my crutches then.
I wouldn't say you walk a bit.
Yeah, no.
Every day with Stephen's different because some days he's good, some days he's bad. A lot of the time he's, he talks rubbish. He swears now that he never used to swear. Now he does. They've told us that may stop. He says things that are inappropriate all the time that you'd never think that Stephen would say. He's gone a bit cheeky as well, like to his mother and things like that.
It's just my head that's wrong, innit? Like yesterday when I was shouting at my sister for nothing, wasn't I?
Yeah.
I didn't mean to, it's just done my head. I hope that guy gets life because I hate him now. killed Craig as well, didn't I?
I'd like to have 10 minutes on my own with him, I know that. We're just hoping that he'll get back to what he was. If he doesn't, God knows what we'll do.
The investigation has run into difficulties. Their eyewitness has a serious problem.
This witness, who we thought was very good, described 2 motions of the car, and she said it hit Stephen, and there was a deliberate reversing manoeuvre, and deliberately drove at Craig and hit him, and he was thrown in the air and landed on the roof. We interviewed on video last night her younger sister, who was in the bedroom with her. She says, well, my older sister suffers from night blindness, so I don't know how she can actually see all this.
You've mentioned about this night blindness with your sister. Okay, so tell me a little bit more about night blindness.
When she got to the age of 18, she had trouble seeing in the dark, and she went to the opticians or wherever she went, the eye hospital, and they said to her that she had retinitis pigmentosa, I think it's called, and she was like, well, what's that? And then they told her what it was, and they said that she will go blind, so in another 2 to 3 years she'll be blind completely.
It's been a shock to find out about her eyesight, because the whole investigation was focusing on what she said she saw through her window. We've been working on the assumption that the person responsible for knocking over Craig and Stephen stopped the car and then reversed back over them. So if it had come out during the court proceedings and she was our main witness, and at that stage we found out she was suffering from night blindness, and what she said had occurred hadn't, that could have been catastrophic, and the whole case could have collapsed.
But there's better news when police delve into Ganson's past.
We had a message this morning from Inspector Kate Norgate, who's traffic inspector, saying, I don't know if you are aware, but Ganson Michael has previous for driving a vehicle on a pavement at Persons. In 2002, he drove his vehicle on the pavement to attempt to run down one of my officers. At that stage, though, we don't think he believed it was a police officer who was attempting to run down. And it's been crime. We've got a copy of the crime report. So that's 2002.
I'm aware of a couple of previous incidents involving Michael Ganson and the use of motor vehicles, cars. One where he drove, I believe, into a school playground, causing the children to scatter. That was, I believe, some sort of falling out with a member of staff. Unfortunately, on that occasion, there was insufficient evidence to proceed against him. And then maybe 2 years ago, he stole a van, I believe from 2 men who he assaulted to steal the van off them. He drove the van at them on the pavement, on the footpath. He then drove down the central reservation, and there was then an off-duty policeman on his motorbike, and he drove the van at him on the pavement, hit his motorbike and caused serious injuries to the police officer, an extremely dangerous man.
Ganson may have a history of driving offences, but that history can't be used in court. Police consult CPS lawyer Kim Doyle.
He's got previous, obviously, loads of people, I think, Ganson.
He's got a terrible record for driving.
One is for trying to run a police officer down by driving on the footpath.
Oh, I remember that. Attempt to cause bodily harm by wanton and furious driving.
That's probably the police officer's trying to run down.
That was from 18 months ago, wasn't it?
Now, I know the chances of getting any of that in evidence or whatever, but yeah, I know.
That isn't going to happen.
Right,
I don't think
it's
that would
a
be a
no-go.
problem with us.
Okay.
Right, it's just an impossibility, I know that.
It's extremely frustrating on occasions when you know exactly the background of the people that are standing trial and the jury don't, but that's the English legal system, and until it changes, well, we'll just go on being frustrated.
I can imagine that if you were a layperson looking in, you would think, well, if he's done this before, surely the court's entitled to know that he's done things like that before. But the law basically says that you can't do it. So it's just something that we accept. And, you know, you get people who've been convicted previously of murder, and they might do another murder. But you can't say to the court, well, he's done one, therefore he's more likely to have done the other. Because the argument goes like this. If the prejudice is more than the probative value, you shouldn't admit it in evidence. And in cases like that, they would say, well, the jury are more likely to draw the conclusion that this person committed the offence because he's done it before. So, you can't do it.
With Ganson's criminal record inadmissible, the team must redouble their efforts to make the case for murder. Kim Doyle meets DCI Russ Jackson.
So the pub's here, where he's come from, and he's driving down here. What he says is the car veers off.
Veers off because he's on the phone?
What he's doing, he says, I'm on the phone. The next thing, the collision's happened. That's it. Jumps to it. It's very misleading, this junction, although that's a proper map that's done to scale and everything. You have to almost see it to believe it, and plan drawings and photographs all seem to tell a different picture. It's quite unusual, really. Kenyon Lane turns into Joyce. Did you see that?
Yeah, it's like a...
and what he would say is that would be a legitimate way of travelling.
If he, as he said, he was fleeing the scene in fear, then it's about trying to prove the logic of what he's done.
The Crown's case is the manoeuvre. So, is the manoeuvre of a sufficient nature to suggest it was deliberate?
Oh, this is it, isn't it? Ooh, this is just not how you imagine it, is it? This is the benefit of coming to the scene, because this is not how you imagine it at all.
For me, it's whether the layout of this road and the account that's provided, is it reconcilable, and what evidence does it lend in terms of assessing an intent? Is it like a deliberate manoeuvre, or does it simply not?
Yeah.
We see if you look up, Kim, like you say.
It's just a straight line, isn't it?
It's a straight arrow.
If he veered off, as he says he veered off, then he would have come almost in a straight line. I veered off and I ended up in and I hit these people, and looking at this road and the layout and the way he would come, then that's appears on the face of this to be feasible. We've got to build in what we see here and the experts' evidence with the witnesses who were here on the night to decide, can we prove that what happened was a deliberate act on his part, or is his contention in his interview that this was an accident, may well have been caused by dangerous driving on his part if he was using his telephone, but is this dangerous driving that's led to the unfortunate death of somebody who was on the roadside? And that's what we've got to balance. So, what I need to do now is go away and look at the statements, read the statements, and then make a decision. And if we can't prove the murder, we've got to be realistic.
Stephen is quite a remarkable person. He really is. I wish Stephen knew what an achievement he'd actually made and the progress he'd made. He's gone from being hoisted out of bed, being double incontinent, to walking about with a bit of a limp. That is just a phenomenal achievement. In a lot of ways, he's quite amazed me, because I never thought he would be so willing to give himself as he is to a whole host of professionals and say, make me well. And whatever they suggest, he does. There is not one single thing that somebody has suggested that he hasn't done. And he's just so willing to trust these people and get these people to help make him well. You're not going to do it all at once. See? I think if you can get your energy levels up and your confidence and start going out to do something for yourself, then the rest will come. Are you sweating?
Because I'm knackered.
Yeah, you've done enough for now.
More than what you've done in your life.
If you can say something nice or say something horrible, he'll say something horrible all the time. I mean, he's a lovely person now, but he would never say anything. He always had a nice word to say, but now he'll say something nasty before something nice.
Yeah, but I don't think before I speak it just comes out.
Mentally, Stephen's got more problems than he will admit to. He thinks that how he acts, the things he says are quite normal and acceptable. It's like he's not socially integrated.
What's your favourite hobby, Stephen?
Shagging.
Oh. Well, that was very good. There's a time and a place to say things. At one time you would have realised what time and what place to say it. Now you don't.
Other people think that don't know him, that think, oh, it's quite funny, that's quite amusing, but it's not funny. I laugh myself, because if I don't laugh, it's just, you know, you just need to find some way of working it through. But it's about reteaching Stephen what he can say and where he can say it.
As Ganson's trial approaches, Kim Doyle is having serious doubts about the murder charge.
When I went to the scene, I was quite taken aback when I saw the actual line of the motor vehicle, because for the first time I could see, well, maybe there is a possibility what the defendant was saying is right. I did start to wonder whether we might have the right charge or not. My own view of this case is that we will need to speak in some detail to the accident investigator to probe further in relation to the expert evidence that we can obtain from him about how he believes the accident happened.
If there was an offer of causing death by dangerous driving from the defence, I wouldn't be happy to take a plea. I think the facts fulfil a murder charge and a murder conviction. I don't want to go to Stephen and Craig's parents and tell them that I've accepted a lesser plea to causing death by dangerous driving. This is a murder and he should properly be convicted of a count of murder.
Determined to prove murder, Kevin Duffy reviews the case with the accident investigator, Mark Littler.
I think you've had supplied to you a number of maps which the varying witnesses that were at the scene have marked their position and the positions where they think Craig and Stephen would stood. And there's not a great deal of consistency, I don't think.
One witness places them where we initially thought, just in the gutter rather than on the pavements.
Yeah.
And another witness places them quite a bit further down the road. This is not consistent whatsoever with the evidence at the scene.
Yeah, I suppose we've got to bear in mind that they're all traumatised, that they're all
Indeed.
young. Some may well have been drinking, I don't know. But I thought they'd been clear as to where they were all stood. Is there anything we can do with the tyres to show that it's hit a curb at that speed? Would it have caused any internal damage to the tyres?
It may have, but and then again, if the vehicle was at the scene, it would be ideal.
Yeah.
The vehicle's not at the scene.
Yeah.
So where does it lead you? It leads you to say, yes, the damage is damage consistent with hitting a curb.
Yeah, but it's which curb?
Is.
No.
Exactly.
Braking marks, any indication of any braking at
Nothing
all?
whatsoever, no. There is two small tyre marks at the scene. Unfortunately, the scene was compromised to a certain extent because of the emergency vehicles that attended afterwards. The traffic officer when I attended told me that he thought it was the ambulance response vehicle, you know, the Astra Escades, that may have been straddling the curb at some point or other.
The best we can say is that some vehicle has gone on the curb and come off again, but we can't say it's the borer that's done that.
Not for certain.
Okay.
It's not something you can base anything on, unfortunately.
No. Okay.
Quite often a problem at the scene of an accident, you get this.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
The case isn't strong, but then there's an unexpected and critical development. The law restricting the use of Ganson's criminal record is changed.
A series of new laws come into force in a week's time, giving English courts a wide range of new powers. The Criminal Justice Act will allow courts to hear the previous convictions of some defendants.
The Criminal Justice Bill now passing through Parliament. Juries would be told much more about an accused person's previous criminal record than they are now.
So-called bad character. From our point of view, this is a fantastic development. I mean, to come in the middle of a case like this, it's just great, really. This legislation allows the court to hear about information that paints the picture of the kind of person that they're dealing with. The law before said you shouldn't do that because if you do it, people will make assumptions that if they've done something in the past, they must have done this case. But what the law seems to be saying now is that you can trust juries with that information. They will make a judgment about whether or not they need to consider the previous history of a person. Leave them to make that judgment. So don't tell them when a man's just been convicted of murder, oh, well, actually, he's been convicted of murder before in exactly the same circumstances. Let them know before and let them make an informed judgment about those facts.
There's an air of optimism when QC Andrew Maneri takes the brief to prosecute Ganson.
Yeah, bad character to be heard on the first day of the trial. The most significant conviction, obviously, is the 2003 one.
Yeah. With the motorbike.
Yeah, that is right. And that, in our view, is very compelling evidence.
Well, I think so.
In relation to that, we put in a skeleton argument, and we've had the response from the defence. They're struggling a bit. They accept that it's relevant. They're saying one past conviction can't amount to a pattern. Well, it can do.
Can.
And as we've said previously, before the law changed, strikingly similar.
Yeah.
I'd be very disappointed indeed if we did not succeed in getting that evidence in.
I would be extremely disappointed. It's so obvious that this is the kind of case which was designed to deal with.
Exactly. And if this doesn't go in, then this part of the Criminal Justice Act is meaningless, really.
Well, I agree.
It will be very powerful evidence indeed. And it goes right to the heart of the main issue in this case, whether it was deliberate or accidental.
The trial of Michael Ganson begins on the 13th of September 2005. Exploiting the change in law, Andrew Maneri calls Robert Bowen, the police officer who was knocked down by Ganson 2 years earlier.
Right. Early in the morning on Sunday the 18th of August 2002. Do you remember it?
Oh, yeah.
At some stage, was there an incident involving a collision between a vehicle and your bike?
Yes, there was.
What vehicle?
A white ex-registered van. It was on the grassed area. Prior to the junction there are some trees, and the van was driving in and out of the trees in the central reservation. I was stationary sitting on my bike. I then saw the escort van mount the footpath.
How much of the escort?
All of it came on the footpath straight towards me.
What did you do then?
I started to try and push my bike in the space between the Volvo and the Peugeot.
Still sitting on the bike?
Yeah.
Were you able to get back into the space?
No. I was about half a wheel before I was struck by that vehicle.
What happened to you then?
The bike was knocked backwards. I was thrown off to the left-hand side and hit the wall of the house adjacent to the front of the Volvo. I never saw the vehicle again after it impacted with me.
Thank you, Mr. Bowen.
Mr. Maneri then prepares to cross-examine Ganson.
I think his defence is going to be, I can't really say what happened, because of a mixture of getting beaten up and suffering concussion and drink. I really can't remember what happened that night, who I hit, why I hit them. And even our motive, isn't a great motive, is it, for running, driving a car at a whole group of kids.
That's where I suppose
not just the one you thought.
The previous conviction, I think that's where it supports your theory that, this guy doesn't take a great deal.
Absolutely.
One tiny little,
Absolutely. And he's assumed that this group is the same group, and as it turns out, it was the same group.
Excuse me? The
Hang 'em High theme tune.
That's very appropriate.
Right. Saturday night. You went out with some friends. You've been to a number of places where you had something to drink, but you weren't drunk.
I was drunk.
Do you remember that you were drunk?
Yeah, I was drunk.
Are you now telling us that because you were drunk and driving, that might explain?
If I wasn't drunk, I would have obviously seen people in the middle of the road. I'd have been more alert than I was on that night.
You might have decided to frighten them like you did Mr. Bowen.
No, that wasn't the case.
How do you know?
There's no reason for me to run two 16-year-old boys over.
In interview, you said, yeah, when I was getting off, I got chased to the car. I shot off because I was scared. I knew that they would have tried following me in that. No part of that is correct.
Yeah.
You didn't speed off. There were no guys chasing you to your car. The account of using your mobile phone is also untrue.
Obviously the phone wasn't there, but I don't remember losing it during the fight.
During the interview with the police, are you telling us that you honestly believe that you had the mobile phone with you in the car?
Yeah.
Was it that you thought this group had taken your mobile phone?
No, that wasn't the case.
But a group of young people would have been visible from a car going along Kenyon Lane.
I didn't see no one in the way of the road.
You didn't brake?
No, because I didn't see him.
You didn't have a clue who you'd hit. Why didn't you stop?
It was my instinct.
To run away?
No, not to run away, but I've just carried on, and that's...
So you say it was a completely innocent accident?
Yeah.
I think there was some debate in his team as to whether he would give evidence or not. Having heard him, I'm not surprised there was some debate. I think his evidence is probably about the worst evidence I've heard from a defendant in 23 years. I thought he was shocking, frankly. It was a hopeless account, really. In the end, didn't even stick to the account he'd given to the police, simply said that he couldn't explain what had happened and what had gone on. Accepted that much of what he said was a complete pack of lies earlier. All sorts of things which we thought were in dispute obviously weren't. So he hasn't done himself any favours at all.
On the 12th day of the trial, the families of Craig Rennie and Stephen Prince make their way to hear the jury's verdict.
No, you get found guilty. He's got to do. I mean, there was 12 people there listening to that policeman, what he did to the policeman and what he's done. And they'll find him guilty because of all the lies he's told. They've got to do. He's on the phone going down Kenyon Lane, but he's lost his phone, so it's just lies after lies.
It's just what to expect, isn't it? Just hope he gets what he deserves. Life.
I mean, really, something happened to our Craig because they ran the policeman over and he was let out on parole. So if the courts give someone 3 years, 4 years, they should do that time. And if he would have done that time, this would have never happened.
He got on that pavement and meant to run him over. There was no doubt about it. He'd done that on purpose. It's like holding a gun, isn't it? You know, you hit somebody in a car at like 30 or 40 miles an hour and you're going to do some sort of damage if you don't kill him. It's the sentence I'm about. We know what he's trying to do. He's trying to get off with dangerous driving or something. It's, you know, a lesser sentence. Just hope the judge and the jury read through him.
It's like waiting for that moment, and it's like when I just lost him. My nerves.
Right, tell us what happened.
Got life.
Hello?
Got life. 14 plus. Oh yeah. Well.
In terms of the sentence, obviously it's a life sentence. The minimum recommendation is 14 years. That's now pretty much set by Parliament, the minimum recommended period. So he will not be cheering the fact that he's got a 14-year minimum recommendation. He has a pretty uncertain future now. Take care.
Right, thank you.
All right?
All right. What's supposed to do this? It was a very terrible time.
It's over. You know, it's not going to hurt anybody else now, so it's over. Move on, try and rebuild our lives now. It's all we can do.
Justice has been done, it's been seen to be done. The judges sentenced him to a 14-year tariff. That's his prerogative. I knew from the outset, or I believed from the outset, that this was a deliberate act. Ganson's a dangerous man who's now off the streets of Manchester. He's a man who uses a vehicle as a weapon, and Manchester will be a safer place for that sentence. There was never any doubt, even when the DCI was doubting me, the one that stood there.
It took a change of law for the jury to be told the full story of Ganson's bad character and his history of using cars as weapons. But will his motives ever be understood?
I suspect on the night he was very worked up. He'd had this fight, and it looks like, you know, one heck of a fight he's had with this bloke. It was a running battle. His members of his family and friends had been involved earlier in the week. I think he was hoping to continue the fight later on that night. Probably he was hoping to recruit people to help him in the fight, and but he didn't have his phone, the phone he needs, and he was completely ticked off, to put it mildly, by this group who he thought had pinched his phone. And he just drove at them. I just don't think he'd give a monkey's. I don't think he cared less. In the same way as 2 or 3 years ago, he just didn't care less what he was doing. He didn't care less this time. There are people out there who behave in a way that you and I would regard as unbelievable. Well, he's one of them.